Hey people, welcome to my behind the lyrics video for HYPERSOMNIAC. I was actually planning on doing one for the whole EP, looking for since it turned 1 year recently, and I already recorded a behind the lyrics for the first song Mind Flayer, but today, I don't know, it seems like it's not my day or night because it's like 2 a.m. right now because the camera stopped filming, the data got corrupted, whatever, and now I'm like, damn, let's just do HYPERSOMNIAC first. And, if you guys like it, I'll do the other songs step by step, because I feel like this is the best way. So yeah, let's go and dive into the lyrics of HYPERSOMNIAC. So, this song is basically about escapism, because this is something that I've been, struggling with my whole life, and in a way it's also a strength of mine, but it can turn into something that also, affects my life negatively. And it fit the song because the song is like, it's chaotic, it's energetic, but also very atmospheric and floaty, and it has this certain dynamic of like ups and downs, which is very much the case with indulging in escapist behavior and fantasies and stuff like that, and this is something that I've been doing again my whole life. So we're starting the song with the intro, and why should I walk the earth if it's so easy to leave it behind for a different one, get off the ground. And there's this theme of like space travel, and flying and leaving the earth and for other planets, which is a metaphor for indulging in this escapist behavior and fantasies, and being too much in your head and thinking about what could be, or like not doing the things that you are supposed to do. So yeah, we start with "I've got a taste for ignorance, delusion keeps me going," and this is just a statement of the feeling that I also had at the time of the song, because I started writing the lyrics for the song in a time where I was just finishing up my graphic design studies. I was like literally in the last week finishing up the project, and I was also like preparing my portfolio, which I was going to send out to a company where I got a job later on because a friend of mine worked there. But like I had this time window where I had to get this stuff done, but at the same time I started writing the lyrics for the song because I got the demo, and it felt so weird because I was like, damn, I really need to do this important stuff, this life stuff, studies, job, things that I can earn money, where I have a future, but I'm rather spending it on music with hopes of maybe someday people being able to listen to it and like it doing well. But it's a very dumb idea, it's very bad priorities, but like I really felt that. So I was like, yeah, I've got a taste for ignorance right now. I'm ignoring like all this other stuff to work on this song, because like the delusion, it's like these things that excite me in a way that keep me going, because I really often don't want to do the basic life stuff. I just want to pursue these grand ideas and plans, or like what I think are grand ideas, which are most often they're not stupid, and most often than not it doesn't work out for me. That's why they are stupid. So that was the whole mood of the first section. It's very ignorant, like, why should I walk the earth if it's so easy to leave it behind for a different one, get off the ground, I refuse to look for the appeal, this life is a God-given gift, but I prefer what ain't real. So yeah, why should I engage with the real world and do the stuff that I'm supposed to if I can like fantasize about like these plans that can come true, or I don't know, like read fantasy books, which I did back when I was a teenager, or play games or watch movies and like distract myself from the stuff that matters, because these worlds are way more exciting than what I have in real life right now. And yeah, and I'm also acknowledging like this life is a God-given gift, so like I have a lot of good stuff in my life, I have like a lot of privileges and stuff that is worth to pursue, but I'm like, fuck it, I want to do this other stuff that is not healthy for me, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much what all of that means. And you can probably already see where the imagery of the astronaut comes from in the video, because funnily enough, as a kid I always wanted to be an astronaut. I think this is a common thing, a lot of kids want to be astronauts, but yeah, in this case it was a very fitting analogy. An astronaut that is on Earth, and like there's nothing else there really, you know. You're an astronaut on Earth. You feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. You feel like you're supposed to be in a spaceship, but you're just like wherever, like where everybody else is, because you're just a person. But no, you think you're like supposed to do greater stuff or different stuff, or you like in your head you're in a whole different world. So like that was also the whole imagery of the astronaut dancing, which came from that. And the chorus, it's you know, reflective of that. Drifting beyond the sky, I'm leaving everybody behind, where you're like in your head, in your own ideas, indulging in these fantasies, and it's not very related in, like, not grounded in real life, and it's also not connecting you to everybody else, because it's like your own world and your own fantasy, and it's disconnecting in a way as well. So then we're entering the synthesizer section of the song, which is very floaty, and I'm kind of meditating on this whole thing. I have this image in my mind where I'm like, you know, leaving Earth and floating wherever, you know, beyond the sky. I keep drifting, clear-cut lines in the distance. I won't see, I won't listen, isolate myself in dreams, you know, just like you have maybe, you know, in the end, like in the past, this was sometimes I feel about this with music, where I'm like pursuing it and it's not very realistic in a way, and it's also isolating sometimes. Or like I have this thing where when there's a piece of media I like, a book or a series or a game, I go all in and I just binge it. I had this with a series once where I just didn't leave the house for a week because I was binging it so hard, because I was so invested. And I also had this really bad like gaming addiction when I was 16, and you know, these things are also like psychologically related, I think, because I'm just like going all in on those very escapist things. And with music, you know, it can be transformative. It can be used in a way where it does do something for me in real life, and I can like forge connections and have real life experiences with it. But sometimes, you know, depending on the outcome, it can also be just escapism, you know. Like, let's say, like when I wrote the song, I wrote the song and I like fucked up my studies or stuff like that, and I didn't end up getting a job, which is still sometimes the case, I guess. You know, in that case, there are like negative repercussions of me trying to pursue something that is not very realistic, I guess. So yeah, I'm like floating away, isolate myself in dreams, the only place where future and fantasy converge into memories. So it's this thing where when you have a very, you know, like a fantasy or something that you want to be real, it feels like it already happened, you know, and that's where future, so what could be, and fantasy, you know, what you're imagining, and it converges into memory. So like it feels like it has already happened. And right there, we're entering a point at the song where there's like, you know, this twist where it's getting dark, and we know the breakdown approaches, and I know that this breakdown is like the part where everything's torn apart and you realize like, oh no, you fucked up, basically. Which happened in my life, you know, like you're doing certain things that maybe you shouldn't have done. Maybe you're like spending too much money on whatever, or you're like not taking care of a certain thing and it falls on your feet. So yeah, this is what happens there, and you're coming to the realization that fuck, this is the case. Like you're being pulled down out of your fantasy. It's like trying to maintain illusion, but the current's calling out for retribution. Like even though you think that you are safe and you don't have to do something, like it comes back and you have to bear the consequences of that. Connecting dots on the map in the back of my head is just like, you know, you're figuring out, you're trying like, oh man, like how can I get out of this situation? Is there a way to navigate this? But in a quick way, you're like getting stressed. Like maybe you missed something that's important. You're like, oh damn, how can I like make this right? And the part with I would rather be dead than facing the consequences, shut the fuck up, don't you dare to drag me down, it's it's very literal in a way, because there was a point when I was like a teenager and I was living very recklessly, I guess, and like not doing anything I should have done, and I was at a certain point where I was like, you know, thinking about ending my life in a way. But this was also just I wouldn't have killed myself, but I was like, you know, I can just, in half a year I don't have to do anything, I will just kill myself, which in the end it was also a fantasy of like not having to like bear the consequences of the things that you have done, because you can just like end your life and you won't have to do anything. But you know, it's way scarier than that, and obviously I didn't end up doing it. So yeah, that's literally what's meant. Like, I would rather be dead than bearing the consequences. Don't drag me down. Like, I don't want to be dragged down out of my irresponsibility and my fantasy. But then reality sets in and you have the breakdown and it's going and it sounds like chaotic and harsh. So yeah, the breakdown is pretty much just like reality setting in, and that's also why we left it blank in terms of lyrics, because it's just like a feeling. It's just like you have to deal with it now. But after that, you know, that's how life goes. You emerge. Do you learn anything from it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And I feel like I have transformed some parts of my life a lot, but like the tendencies are still there. So we go back into the chorus section and you start drifting away again, you know. Old habits pursue. You know, so you start drifting away again, and these old habits come in again, and we're back at square one. But this time we have the chorus, you know, with the drifting beyond the sky part. And then what I think was very nice is that we were able to include the lyrics from the synthesizer part, from the middle section, as an alternative chorus, like 1 octave higher, which is like the conclusion, like isolate myself in dreams. But then it crashes again. I have this until I am torn down by my facade crashing down. It's better to stay off the ground. So like it happens again, you know, you like indulged in your little fantasies. You think you can be ignorant or like not do this thing or do things a certain way, and then you're like confronted with reality again, and either way you learn from it or you don't. And in the end, like the song's conclusion is like, you better stay off the ground, which is like, no, I'll stay ignorant. I'll just like keep doing it that way, and the cycle continues, basically. Okay guys, so this was behind the lyrics of HYPERSOMNIAC. I want to thank you for listening to the song so much. We wouldn't have anticipated how much it resonated and that it would like blow up at least a bit for us, and it did so much for us, so that's really nice. And it's also cool to see that a lot of people all over the world enjoy it. I hope that this behind the lyrics was also enjoyable and listenable to all of you, because you know, this is a new thing for me still, and it's kind of weird to talk to a camera on your own, especially in English, since it's not my first tongue. But yeah, I think this was kind of interesting, at least. And let me know what you think, like what your thoughts about the lyrics were before you heard this. Maybe you had different interpretations, which I also like always think is interesting, because you know, it's nice to talk to the camera. Well, it's not nice to talk to the camera, but it's nicer to have a conversation, because you guys are out there and you're listening, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you think. And is there anything else? Yeah, we are releasing a new single, maybe tomorrow, maybe it's out already when I'm dropping this video. It's called Shiver. It's very interesting because it's inspired by Indian folklore and Indian music, so it's very crazy for us, and I hope you guys take a listen to it. And I think that's basically it.